Well, I'm Gary Key, and I was born in Cleburne, and graduated from Cleburne High. And I was pretty good in math, so I said, well, I think I'll be an engineer, because I looked on the chart and it says engineers make more money than anybody else. Then after I got into engineering, I said, this isn't really that much fun. So by the time I decided that I didn't want to be an engineer anymore in college, I met Bettye our junior year in college. And we pretty well decided we were going to get married after we got out of college. So I switched to math because I already had enough hours in math to graduate. But I changed my minor to history because I really loved history more than math. But you couldn't make a living in history, you know, back then at least. So anyway, I graduated in math, and I got an engineering job when I graduated from college. And then after 2 years in engineering, I got very bored with that. I went to teaching at
You got laid off.
Well, no. No, I didn't.
Oh, that's right, I'm
No,
sorry.
I quit.
You did quit.
I quit and
I was having so much fun.
Yeah, by that time, she was enjoying teaching so much. I said, I want to be a teacher too, so I can, you know, have the summers off. I can have all these vacations. And I know I'm only going to make half as much money as an engineer, but it's worth it. Mm-hmm. But I'd never been in a classroom since high school, never had an education course. I was very naive. So I took that teaching job and I lasted until March. And I said, I'm out of here. And Bettye didn't have enough experience back then to tell me what I was doing wrong. So I went.
I'd never taught on those understandings.
I know, well, I was teaching remedial math to a bunch of kids that didn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. And each class was
during the Vietnam era.
It was about 35 kids per class, and they would be drafted if they dropped out of school. So I had a captive audience, but they didn't want to be there. Anyway, I went back to engineering until I got laid off.
So then, Bettye, when did you move to UTA was it as an adjunct?
After I retired,
mm-hmm.
That's what they were doing with adjuncts, was finding retired teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my good friends was teaching this class, and she got a raise. She got a different job. She got an administrative job in the administrative office.
At
so
UTA.
yeah, at UTA. So she asked me if I would do it. I said sure, and I had just retired. I was home. I was teaching class in discipline, which all of the girls, the students that I taught at that time were teachers. They came to summer, during the summers, that's when I started, and they had to get their extra 3 hours to go next year, and so they were just kind of thinking that they knew what they were talking about, but all of them were having trouble in discipline. But anyway, I taught that for 2 years.
So this was a classroom management course?
Classroom management classroom, yeah, management.
And Gary, were you building houses yet at this point, or?
I did a little bit of everything. I built houses and land development.
Real estate.
I was a real estate broker for 50 years.
What year was this?
I left LTD the last time in 1970, and that's when I got in real estate and building. Then we accidentally got into the boat business, water skis and boats, for 17 years. And we had the largest ski boat dealership in the state of Texas.
You all did?
Yeah.
The two of us.
Wow.
Well, I was teaching.
In Arlington. Well, she was teaching.
I was bringing in the money.
Okay.
She always lets me, yeah, she always.
It was good.
I'll tell you what, no matter what teachers make, it's a steady paycheck. When you're self-employed like I was for 35 years, I made really good sometimes, and I was in the negative numbers other times. But she was always there to have a paycheck. So, and insurance, which is huge. So, it's a very stable job. And luckily, she really loved it, and I loved it too.